My dear brothers and sisters, how grateful I am for the marvelous messages of this conference, and for my privilege to speak with you now. For the more than 36 years I've been an apostle, the doctrine of the gathering of Israel has captured my attention. Everything about it has intrigued me, including the ministries and names of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, their lives and their wives, the covenant God made with them and extended through their lineage, the dispersion of the 12 tribes, and the numerous prophecies about the gathering in our day. I have studied the gathering, prayed about it, feasted upon every related scripture, and asked the Lord to increase my understanding. So imagine my delight when I was led recently to a new insight. With the help of 2 Hebrew scholars, I learned that one of the Hebraic meanings of the word Israel is "let God prevail."
Travis Wayne Goodsell. So I had a dream this morning, and in this dream, it was not real. It was not literal history, not real literal history like 200-pound Egyptian gold treasure plates, seeing flying angels from outer space or another dimension, walking on water, turning water into wine, parting waters and passing through on dry ground. Dream, vision for seership. But we all have dreams. It's what we do during REM sleep. Vision, dream, not real, literal history. And in this dream, it was President Russell Marion Nelson. And he was younger, and fitter, and sprier than he currently is on his deathbed as a zombie apocalypse, resurrected from the grave, living forever. And Oakes would make a special guest appearance at one particular point in the dream. And Nelson would make a repeat appearance on a regular basis. It's unclear as to whether it was hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. Yearly. It's a dream. It's not real. That was not the point. And he would come, and there would be a whole bunch of Mormon groupies flocking around him, to a door where he had the only key to open it. And when the door was opened, a severed tree trunk would be removed and set out for whatever the reason. And I would come to find out that it was poisoned, that those who come in contact with it would be poisoned. And so I was realizing in the dream that he had heard my videos in which I told him, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. Because repeatedly, that's what this whole thing was about, was attempts to poison me. And and then there was one time where I had found a GPS or a tracking or a listening device inside of some phone or thing of mine. And Nelson knew of it and would remove it. The second time, there were two to pretend to get the one and hopefully leave the other behind. And then there was another time where a person laid out a tree trunk that had a covering. That was weird. But it's a dream. It's not real. It's not literal history. And dropped it on the forklift and tried to drop it on me. And I had to pull it out to get out. Oh, I knew you would get out, so I wasn't worried about you. Hello? And so I had two real experiences with branches in my life. The first one I've told you about, in which in Placentia, my mom got fed up with us kids. It's supposed to be we is us, but stick to the pattern. If we have to correct the English, let's do it. You know, like hanged, no, hung. No, you only hung things, you hanged a person. No, we're changing it. The Brits are wrong. Let's fix things. Nobody listens to me. And so she's upset, kicks us out of the house to go play in the front yard. And we had, I think it was actual football. My dad had bought a crappy football for us to play with. I guess because he had heard from Mom that I went to tryouts for football and signed up for it, and then went to the medical doctor, and the female doctor or nurse that came in had me take down my pants, turn, and cough. And she had a cold spoon in her other hand ready to whack it. No more football for me. They don't do that for baseball or basketball or volleyball or. But nonetheless, Dad bought a football, being clueless about what's going on. And you don't traumatize little boys. You just don't do it. Don't you touch it. I don't know you. The nightmares little boys go through. And And so we're tossing it around, throwing it around, and originally, because it's been redesigned for the front yard by later people who moved in, because it's been at least 2 since we left it. The current one, or somewhere along the line, not the first one. The first one kept the solar panels, and then when he left, he took the solar panels with him. But he also didn't fix the garage door, made of wood, in which I would throw my tennis ball up against it for baseball practice to get my throwing arm in. And I was doing both. I was ambidextrous. So yeah, sleeping on the right side now. Last night, taking notes, did it with my left hand. Back to practicing with my left hand again. It's been decades, but yeah, I'm doing okay. Getting back on track. Nonetheless, and so one time throwing the tennis ball, one of the planks, the branches, shaved into a 2x4 that was used as decoration for the garage door, popped out. Dad never bothered to fix it or replace it. Neither did the previous guy, or the successive guy who bought the house. That was branch number 1, I guess. Although branch number 1 would technically be, my sister came running into the house one day, asking for my help, that one of the neighbors, probably Glenn or somebody else, had found a fallen tree branch, so a dead tree branch, again, dead, severed, just like in my dream, not literal history, real experience like these others are. And he was bullying the other kids in the neighborhood and wanted me to come beat him up. Huh? Well, I had no intention of beating him up, but I went out to confront him, to get him to stop and put it down. And instead he rammed it up into my mouth and severed the little thing that attaches from the lip to the gums, and so that's always been severed ever since. And then the football one, no turning and coughing for me unless we're married. You don't need the spoon, but we can spoon because we're married. You've made a commitment to me, and you're not going to break it again. Nonetheless, the football rolled under an extended dead tree branch. It was not severed from the tree. I would come to learn later it was on my dad's honey-do list. He just lowered the priority of it. All they had to do was get a chainsaw and done. That's what he did after. Immediately after. Drink when you're laughing. And Because I went under the tree to retrieve the football and miscalculated to get under the tree branch sticking out. Pop right in my right eye. And I thought I had lost my eye. I was screaming, not in pain, but that I'd lost my eye. I'm going to have to wear a patch over it the rest of my life. Similar to my cousin Michael, who his sister and her husband, Phil Nyber, had an earthquake yesterday near their hot springs, where their home is also. And so 3.8, so I know they're doing just fine. I don't need to worry about them. We had a 5.2 here in Utah and Magna. Knocked the horn out of Moroni's hands. And all Mormons said, no, that can't be a sign of the latter days. We're looking for something bigger. Oh my God. Oh my God. Mormons! That was 2020. That was the Exodus year. Well, I think that the Exodus is just a symbol. It's not actually real or literal history fulfillment. It's more like a dream or a vision. Yes, now you call things visions and dreams. Oh my hell. Oh my hell. And so, yeah, I have a scar still to this life. It's an eternal scar. Every eye doctor who sees me go, oh, yeah, you've got a scar in your eye. Yep, dead tree branch. Dead tree branch. And yeah, it makes it difficult to wear contacts because they had to invent astigmatism contacts for me. Yep, it was all for me because of the warping of the cornea. And then come to find out that the left eye also needs astigmatism contacts, but anyway, technology improved and they got it and it's done and we're good. So, in the scriptures, 3 tree branches. Yep, Laura Baker. Laura Baker. See, I had a crush on her only because by default she was the only Mormon in a 1 billion foot radius from where I lived. She lived down the block at the corner house. And she was the only Mormon at my school, and thus at church, in class. But primary, we didn't get to really spend much time with each other. And then she was a very intelligent girl because she had a crush on Kevin, who's not Mormon. She didn't fall for you're the last Mormon on earth. It was more of, not if you were the last Mormon on earth. So, yep, sure enough, she chose Kevin over me. Her brilliance, she wanted to be with Kevin. She didn't go to school to excel, as I learned, would have been back in before 2017 when the second ex left me, who's her cousin, told me that she had gotten a master's recently. But nonetheless, she's so smart that in order to be with Kevin, who was in the remedial class, she had to pretend to be stupid as a Mormon. And she was granted going into the remedial class and was able to be with her love, Kevin, in the remedial class. That's how smart she was. As a Mormon. Playing dumb so that she could belong. So yes, if she reads about visions and dreams in the scriptures, nope, it's literal history, it's real. Okay, you get to go into the remedial class, Laura. So yeah, Laura, think of Laura during General Hospital's Luke and Laura stuff. When they used Christopher Cross's Think of Laura. Hey, that's... Hey. Why the hell did you not write well? So, yeah, such was my childhood nightmare. Which could also be the theme song. And so even though Nelson was trying to murder me and other people were trying to murder me after his pattern of trying to murder me, it was not a nightmare for me. I didn't wake up in a cold sweat, breathing heavy and panicking. He tried to murder me. Oh my God, I thought the church was true and he's trying to murder me. No. That was no nightmare for me. That was symbolic, not real, not literal history. I'm able to distinguish between the two. If there's something supernatural, it's a good clue it's not literal history, boys and girls. So if Jesus comes from outer space, you know it's not real. It's Jewish vision and dreams for seership. Nonetheless, Mormons play dumb so that they can spend time with Kevin. I don't think there's a Kevin in the church, in the apostleship, because it's Russell Marion. Anyway, we're playing dumb so that we can be with Russell Marion. We're that smart, Travis. So yes, by doing the theme songs in the description below, it's supposed to be a memory trigger for you. Oh yeah, Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold. Yeah, I remember that video by Travis. Oh yeah, Shout at the Devil. Oh, that was a good one by Travis. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Brilliant. Don't drink. I'm laughing. I do those on purpose. It's my thing. I used to do opening and closing prayers, and sometimes an intermission. You gotta take advantage of these. They are involved too. And so I think it was yesterday, one of the songs that I put in the theme song in the description below actually was something you need to listen to the lyrics for. But you don't, because you don't think they have anything to do with the video. don't know why. Been doing it on a regular pattern basis. And only the guy who's been following my channel since before the latter days began understands the significance of the theme songs in the description below. He was the one who notified me about the earthquake. So, anyway, think of Laura. Laugh, don't cry. I know she'd want it that way. Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12. And speak unto him, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, Behold, the man whose name is the branch. So they capitalized it when there are no capital letters in biblical Hebrew, which is Aramaic script, or Greek. Well, Greek has capital letters, but they don't capitalize it like it is here. I mean, we could check. Zechariah 6. Oh my God. Okay, I need a keyboard. Blue Letter Bible. Zechariah 6. Not 6. What the hell? Yes. Zechariah. Did I? Oh my hell. You're supposed to say, did you mean Zechariah? And then 12, yeah, they capitalize it here too, because it's the King James Version of the Bible. So then we go to the Vulgate, or Septuagint. And down to 12. Nope, all lowercase. All lowercase. And so they've done away with their connection to Strong's Concordance. You used to be able to click on the letters and it would pop up to the connection with Strong's Concordance, which it doesn't matter because it's wrong. If you were following me in West Valley City, you heard me talk about how I used my Strong's Concordance of the Bible as the podium lifter for my monitor. I didn't need it. It was crap. But the original footnotes, the people that were working on the footnotes were all given Strong's Concordance of the Bible to go through, and so they would go into Strong's Concordance of the Bible and look up all the footnote references for and. You think I'm joking? Have you gone through the footnotes? Do it. Make that your study 1 year, however long it takes you to go through all of the footnotes. You will realize why in the 2000s, at the beginning, there was a group who revised them for the 2009 release edition of the Spanish with the Guide to the Scriptures. And Ballard is dead. Why are they not bringing out the English? They've got it. All they have to do is release it. they're not releasing it. It's been since, oh, right, that solar eclipse on the 14th of October 2023, when the time frame of Ballard dying. He's dead now. Why aren't you guys releasing the new scriptures for Mormons? It's all online anyway. You don't have to print out new books. Nope, won't do it. So nonetheless, did I read this to you? Whose name is the branch? And he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord. Now, there's an HEB in 12a for whose name. This is Avraham Gileadi, who was not banned from doing this, with an IE or an OR to replace whatever he put in. And he put, branch is his name, and from beneath him one shall branch forth, and he shall build the temple of Jehovah. And so this was worded generally enough and wrong. He taught himself Hebrew. He doesn't know Hebrew. God. Nonetheless, that the church had no problems with this one. They didn't need to remove it and put an IE or OR and then something false. What he's referring to is Isaiah chapter 11, that Joseph Smith in that second vision, which obviously therefore must be literal history real. Complicated is it to quit changing definitions? So, chapter 11, that Joseph Smith was told was about to happen, which means it hadn't happened yet. In case you didn't know, because I didn't tell you, back in the footnotes for 12b on the branch, it says TG, Jesus Christ, Davidic descent of. Oh my hell. Talk about your not real, not literal. And then TG, Jesus Christ, prophecies about. Wrong. You're mixing religions. You can't do that. Oops. And so, Isaiah says, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Again, not translated correctly. But nonetheless, Joseph Smith is told this is about to happen. Do they footnote Joseph Smith history? Yes, they do. In addition to these, he quoted the 11th chapter of Isaiah, saying that it was about to be fulfilled. Any questions on how this is literal and real? Not a guideline or a suggestion? Yeah, it's just a suggestion. I'm going to go with my interpretation, because my spiritual witness feelings are tingling. And so this is a plant. The plant has roots. It has a stem that grows into the trunk, and then branches. produces fruit. You know, the tree of life. We will liken the word unto a seed, and by its fruits you shall know whether the word is true or false, good or bad, right or wrong. You know, the way to judge that everybody is supposed to do to make sure they're not being deceived by a false prophet trying to poison them with a tree trunk that's been severed as a branch. This was perfect timing because, well, we're actually going to talk about Solomon's temple for my last night. So, but the literal history part was on here. We'll still tie it in to the temple because of what Zechariah told us about the temple. That he will build the temple. And so what Isaiah is talking about is that there is going to be roots that start everything off and build a temple. And then as it grows, there's going to be an abominable branch that takes it over. And that in the latter days, there will need to be one of the branches that restores the original roots. It really doesn't happen that way. But nonetheless, that's the way they're trying to describe it here. And so, of course, in the footnotes, they botched this for one. And so for and, you can go to 2 Nephi 21:1, 1-16 in parentheses, and you'll find ands being referenced. You thought I was joking. And Joseph Smith History 140, and then B for rod. Seriously, there's better ones for this. And I don't know if I dare look to see if they took my recommendations or rejected them again. We can do that. We're only 36 minutes in. We've got 5 more hours to go. Let's go over the rest of them here. And then Psalm 110, 2, and then DNC 113, 3, 1-6. Seriously, you had it at 16, and then you did 113 again. So yeah, they wanted me to remove ones that are in close proximity and put it at the first one and then have it extend to cover the rest. And, oh my God, this is such a nightmare. And then TG, Jesus Christ the Messiah. No. TG, Jesus Christ prophecies about. No. And then, oh, D, what they didn't want put in. Jesse was the father of David. And so instead they should have put Bible Dictionary Jesse. No. And so as a result they put in Jesse was the father of David. Reference is made to the royal Davidic genealogical line in which Jesus is eventually born. Have you not read your Matthew chapter 1? I mean, seriously, are you that illiterate? Jesus is not the son of David, the descendant of David. Joseph is. And then Micah 5:2, Hebrews 7:14, TG, Jesus Christ, Davidic descent of. And then E for branch, Jeremiah 23:5, which is one we also need to go to. That is one that should be accepted. So let's check to see how the church botched this up from when I fixed it. We got to go to Espagnol because they won't put it in English. And Isaiah and 11. David, don't you ass. Oh, no, I take that back. Take that back. Because I was thinking they didn't make any of the changes at all. And so, for A, and, I took out 2 Nephi 21:1, and they agreed and they left it as just Joseph Smith History 140. For B, they allowed for the removal of Psalm 110:2, leaving section 113:3, and I put in 1 to 4 rather than what they had, 3, and then parentheses 1 through 6. I just removed the parentheses and put 1 to 4. And so in C, they disapproved. And they weren't supposed to do this. They were supposed to leave it as it was, which they can't, which means they have to remove it. But they didn't want to remove it. Which is interesting because this was part of B originally. But they had Guide to the Scriptures, Jesus Christ, and Guide to the Scriptures, Messiah, for C, which is STEM, whereas, C, and so I correctly removed section 113 because I already talked about it, and put in 1 to 4, which covers the same thing as the first one intended. But they wanted Guide to the Scriptures, Messiah, and then put Guide to the Scriptures, Jesus Christ, rather than prophecies of Jesus Christ. It's not what I put. And then for D, we obviously removed the whole long sentence, and Guide to the Scriptures, Isai. Not sure what Isai is. It's Isai in English. What the hell? What is that? It's not Isaiah, because you have, what the hell is this? Who did this? It's not what I did. Vese también David. I don't understand. You'd think it would be Isaiah, but it's not, because it doesn't have the S at the end. Is this a typing error? Somebody who was assigned to Spanish and doesn't know Spanish? Jesse. Oh my God. It's Jesse. They put in a Jesse, which is what they should have had in the beginning. So close. And then for branch. And so I kept the footnotes where they were in here. And so for branch, Jeremiah 23:5, and I'm willing to bet this, they added one. Jeremiah 23:5-6. Yep. Even though you need to include the rest. But I added 6 to it. You're supposed to read the context when you go to it. So they did one for roots. Isaiah 11. Why? Why? Because, oh my God. I just want to scream. I want to scream. Let me do it the way it needs to be done. I did it myself. I did it right because I did it myself. Tied it together. We're not supposed to do footnotes to a few passages later. In that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall a Gentile seek. You're supposed to catch that by knowing that it's tied to Joseph Smith in the very first footnote. So that when you get down to 10, you go, oh yeah, that's Joseph Smith. Who did this? Why did you botch it? Leave me alone. I had the Jesus card. Don't touch me. Unbelievable. Alright, and so again, they're still trying to let you believe that it's only Joseph Smith here, when clearly the Jews said, nope, 2 people, Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David. Joseph Smith is not Messiah ben David. Duh. And thus, it hasn't happened yet. When Joseph was talking about his second vision. No Messiah ben David has come, thus no Jesus. So Jeremiah chapter 23, after condemning prophets in the future for being wicked, he then talks about their comeuppance. Behold, the days come, that's the latter days, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Utah shall be saved, even though they don't deserve it. They don't want to be freed. They yoke themselves to Jesus, and they love it. And Israel shall dwell safely in Zion. Just they're going to explain it for you here. Keep reading. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, Lord our righteousness, Yahweh Zadok. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So who was the Lord that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt? Moses. You're not following me, are you? You don't read your scriptures. You know nothing about what the law of the Jews says concerning the Jewish Christ. He's the man like Moses. Again, Joseph Smith in that same verse 40 uses that scripture, but has you go to Acts instead, because it's precisely as it stands in our New Testament. You're supposed to go to it and look it up and see what's different. Bye-bye, Mormons. Bye-bye. And so this is tied to verse 40. Do you see verse 40 anywhere here? No. You see Isaiah 11:1. No, Joseph Smith, verse 40. Supposed to. I didn't get to do Jeremiah, in case you were wondering. I know that was all on your mouth, lips, at the tip of your tongue. You all wanted to know. So there you go. No, I did not do Jeremiah. They did not allow me to do that. And so Moses, the 10 Commandments in Deuteronomy chapter 5. Moses tells you, I am your Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You shall have no other gods before me. It's very clear. Moses, not Jesus. The man like Moses. He's the Jewish Christ. Man, human, real, literal, not dream, not vision of Moses. Not real, not literal history. This is the writing of the Jews, their learning and manner. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country and from all countries whither I had driven them. The keys of Moses for the head of the church. And they shall dwell in Zion. And then he goes on again about how his heart is broken because of the prophets who are wicked and abusing the Mormons. As the Mormons have now become rapists, adulterers, swearing the land mourneth. Pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up. Their course is evil, their force is not right. Both the prophet and the priest are profane, and in my house have I found their wickedness. And their ways shall be slippery ways in darkness, and they shall be driven on and fall therein, for I will bring evil upon them, even the year, hey, that's now, of their visitation, saith the Lord. We're just waiting for Trump. He keeps failing. Come on, Trump. You humiliated Nelson at conference. Now let's get it over with so we can go to Zion. Come on, Trump. Come on. And so, one of the footnotes that should have been here but isn't is the head of the church who's the man like Moses. Section 107, 91, 92. And again, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. Wait, I don't see Peter, James, and John here. No, duh. Unbelievable. To be a seer, revelator, translator, prophet, having all the gifts which he bestows upon all 15. How could you miss this? I mean, seriously. Great and abominable church, Mormons. You're playing dumb so that you can remain with Kevin. I mean, Russell Marion. God, he's trying to poison you with a dead tree trunk. And tracking devices. This, however, is footnoted to section 103, which would have been brilliant to tie it into the Old Testament. For the Jewish Christ, because here he is, Mormons, he makes his appearance. Starting in verse 15. Behold, I say unto you the redemption of Zion. Must needs come by power. Therefore I will raise up. Joseph Smith, always plagiarizing. Unto my people a man who shall lead them like as Moses led the children of Israel. This is obviously not Joseph Smith, and yet when you go back to section 107, they put in the footnotes to reference the verse further down. Let therefore my servant Joseph Smith Jr. say unto the strength of my house, gather yourselves together unto the land of Zion. It's Joseph! He's going to come back as a resurrected zombie apocalypse. No. They footnoted it wrong. And now you got dumbass Mormons who think Joseph Smith is coming back from the dead to work hand in hand with Jesus. Yay, we're holding hands. We're frolicking through the forest, carrying with ease the 200 Egyptian gold treasure plates. Mormons believe this. Dumbasses. This is why we were told over and over and over and over and over and over. This is why they didn't originally want us to change the actual scripture footnotes. It was just get rid of the TGs, Bible dictionaries, and put in Guide to the Scriptures where applicable. That was their original intention. It was going to be quick and easy. But oops, my bad. They're footnoting and. That was brilliant. That was awesome. I didn't expect that. Who shall lead them like as Moses led the children of Israel. The man like Moses, the Jewish Christ, the head of the church, Mormons. And you will know him by his fruits, not by his titles that he self-proclaims. Because that's the big tip-off that he's a false prophet, a false seer, a false revelator, he don't even claim translator. That's the other big clue. Oh, dear God. For Mormons are the children of Israel and the seed of Abraham and must needs be led out of bondage of the great and abominable church of Jesus Christ. Christianity, the enemy of the Jews. Not complicated to figure out. Not complicated at all. Unbelievable. And so yes, he's section 85, verse 7, the one mighty and strong. You know, Magna earthquake, knocking out the horn of Moroni. See, I can do this with those scriptures. I did it. Did the videos. 8.7. Okay. Oh, dear God. So, yes, he's going to restore the temple. Joseph Smith set up one, Kirtland. He was going to set up others. He didn't get to it. One. You know, like the Jerusalem temple. Just one. Then the Greeks came and took over the Jerusalem temple and screwed it all up and prostituted women. Just like Brigham Young did. And Brigham Young's church, just like the Greeks, had a whole bunch of other temples built. Especially since Hinckley began doing the smaller temples. And so all of these abominable temples are all over the world. Mormons think, yay, we're cool and true because of this. No, it means you're the great and abominable church. There are saved two churches, Mormons. You chose the church of the devil, not the church of the Lamb. This guy, who's going to save your sorry ass, that you don't want to be saved. will restore the temple in Zion. And I've done the videos. Zion is the temple. Your home is the temple. Because you're joint heirs with Christ. Your home is the temple. The fulfillment of all scripture and rituals fulfilled with Zion, where the storehouse is the economy. No monetary system of economy in Zion. Alrighty, temple. So before we get to the temple in the Book of Mormon, which is obviously real, literal history, we need to tell you about the Egyptian origins of the branch. So, in the Egyptian documents, we learn of the first pharaoh of Egypt, first king of Egypt, Osiris, the Greek name of it, Asher for the Egyptian, in the learning of the Greeks language of the Egyptians. Thus, Osiris in Greek. That's why they're phonetically similar. Nonetheless, Egyptologists don't know this. They think they know it all. You know nothing. And he was a righteous king, and everybody loved him, and everybody prospered under him. He was a seer, prophet, revelator, and translator, Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian. And his brother Set was jealous. He wanted to rule the kingdom. He thought he knew better on how to run the kingdom, which was doing just fine. Why do you need to fix something when everything is fine? All is well in Zion. And then Set said, I can do it better. Really? It's already excellent. Why do you want to do it better? And so he got power hungry. And so he and his little secret combination devised a plan in which he held a celebration in honor of his brother Osiris. Threw a big party. And at the party he was doing games. And the game that he had designed was he had built a coffin. And this is impressive because this was pre-coffin technology according to the Egyptologists. But nonetheless, he built a coffin in which he had the guests at the party try to see if they fit in the coffin. Not creepy whatsoever. Nobody fit. Oh, so close, so close. Almost fit like the Shroud of Turin. God, people still believe that's true. And so then he convinced his brother to try it out. So his brother gets in, it's a perfect fit, but he and his minions immediately nail it shut with 9-inch nails. Which could also be the theme song in the description below. And they take the coffin as everybody just stands around dumbfounded, doesn't do anything. They take it to the Nile River, set it afloat. It floats up the Nile River into the Mediterranean Sea and beaches at the Tower of Babel, Lebanon. Not of Babylon. Babel is Lebanon, Beirut, Lebanon. And it then grew into a cedar of Lebanon tree with branches. So we're going to need to talk about that prophecy about a branch which is technically a twig, TWG with an I. Ezekiel 17. And so the king of Babel, thus Babylon, the N is a suffix determinative for a king or kingdom, depending on whether it's a name or a place name. And so Babylon, the king of Babel, came and saw this, got his chainsaw and carved it into the Dej pillar of Osiris. Samek in Paleo-Hebrew script, using Babylonian Semitic Hebrew phonetics. Why anybody couldn't decipher Paleo-Hebrew and it was up to me to do it, I don't know. Nonetheless. And so you'll see that quite often in the Book of the Dead, or more correctly, Coming Forth by Day. The Scorpion King. Brendan Fraser, The Rock, getting the Book of the Dead. That's the Coming Forth by Day. Nonetheless, the AI computer-generated imagery at that time was kind of lacking, and so the Scorpion King kind of looked like, what the hell is that? Similar to the Terminator with that CGI. What the hell is that? That's obviously not real. Literal history, my ass. None of it is real. And so his wife, Isis, sends out her missionaries, because she's the church, to gather the body of Osiris and bring it back to Zion, where she resurrects it from the dead. And then there's the other death of him being chopped up into 14 pieces for the house of Israel, the 12 tribes. Travis, 12 is not 14. Seriously? You've never heard this before? Are you sure it's not 13? Oh, that one creeped up on me. And because there's the 12 tribes, but then Joseph gets a what? Double portion. Ephraim and Manasseh, 13. But it's still not 14, Travis. Really? There's no 14th child. Dinah, female. It's like you guys don't even care to study. Don't even care. So yes, in the Egyptian story is where we get it from. The missionaries are sent out to all the world to gather the Mormons to Zion, not to gather them to the church and stay where they are. Big difference in gathering technology. But there's a piece missing. There's Dinah, because she wears pink and not blue like boys do. And so Isis fashions a blue color to her husband, and then hovers over his body as a bird and conceives on the 23rd of September 2017 for the coming forth of Jesus. Horus, the Christ of the Egyptians. And we'll come back to him pretty quick here. So, this is why Beirut, Lebanon is understood as the branch in the scriptures that I've gone over with you so far. Ezekiel chapter 17. Ezekiel as the Son of Man. Not real, not literal history. It's a parable. And so, yes, the one mighty and strong God is Ezekiel. And thus he's called the Son of Man. Matthew 24. Hey, Jesus, when are Jesus coming back for the second coming, because you failed to save the Jews during the Roman period of time and thus denied yourself being the Jewish Christ? Well, you see, the Son of Man is going to come in the future. We asked about you. Nobody catches on to these things. They just let that slide. You know, like, Jesus isn't born of David. You just let that slide. And a parable unto the house of Israel. Who did Joseph Smith say is the house of Israel, Mormons? And thus saith the Lord God, a great eagle with great wings, long-winged, full of feathers, which had diverse colors, came unto Lebanon, and took the highest branch of the cedar. There he is. And so he takes him to the San Francisco Bay Area, where he is born, and then he has his nativity in Oakland. And then he's moved to Michigan, where the Great Lakes are, great waters and the willow trees. And then he'd come to Southern California with the mountaintops, get the 5 Peaks Award, have issues with branches. Yeah, your Christ, Mormons. It's all about your Christ. Prophecies fulfilled. You're still waiting for Jesus, are you? This came from the Egyptian documents that I went over with you. And so the other one has to do with this in connection with the second death and then the conception of Horus. His mother flees into the wilderness, Revelation chapter 12. And there he's raised in the desert land of the West. California, the whole West Coast is all a desert. Utah is a desert. Which SNL, on their final episode skit for the 40th and 50th anniversary, oh my God, had Trump talking to Mohammed bin Salman about how the United States has a place just like Saudi Arabian desert called Utah. And so then YouTube attacked me for putting a clip from The Office of the pyramid scheme to help you explain and understand what a pyramid scheme is for the content that I was going to talk about. And they're not supposed to touch clips. NBC or whoever, nobody is allowed to say that nobody can take clips and do Fair Use Act stuff with it. It's in the copyright law, it's in the Fair Use Act. Nobody can claim exclusive rights to everything. If you publish a book, people can quote from it. They have to reference you, but you can't go after people for using clips. Your copyright is for the full presentation for you to get money from. If people want to use clips, they can. And so YouTube said, no, Travis. And then I saw another clip about Mormons. Meredith has a drinking problem. And so Steve Carell was going over the list of questions to find out if she's a drunk. And yes. Do you reject the teachings of the Mormon Church when you're drunk? And so I went to YouTube, rather than making the clip myself, to see if it was already there, copyrighted by NBC or whoever. And yeah, the clip was there on YouTube, not by the production company. YouTube didn't ban that clip about how being drunk as you reject the teachings of the Mormon Church. Oh, I'm so pissed. So pissed. Hypocrisy galore. So, anyway. Are we ready to go to the temple? Because this is what it's all about. We're already over an hour. Okay. So, in the real, literal history, Book of Mormon, that isn't after the learning of the Jews at all, even though it says so, just ignore that part. 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2. And go to the real historical documents of Galaxy Quest, 2 Nephi chapter 5. This is 2 chapters after the Jewish Christ, Messiah ben Joseph, who's Joseph Smith, and the future, not yet come, Messiah ben David, who would be a Mormon. It even says it right there in 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5. So, 16. Nephi makes it to Zion, the promised land, having to flee from his brethren who want to rule over him and take away his agency, and murdered Nephi and enslave the other Mormons. And he builds a temple. And he did construct it after the manner of the Temple of Solomon. And you see in verse 15, and they did build buildings and work in all manner of wood and of iron and of copper and of brass and of steel and of gold and of silver and of precious ores, which were in great abundance. And so he builds a temple after the Temple of Solomon, save it were not built of so many precious things, for they were not to be found upon the land. What? Great abundance. Verse 15. Editor. Wherefore it could not be built like unto Solomon's temple. But the manner of construction was like unto the Temple of Solomon. You do know the Temple of Solomon, right? Oh, it's in ruins, and there's a Dome of the Rock mosque on it. Yeah, it's quite huge. Let's see if we can find somebody who gave us the dimensions of the temple, and hopefully include the 2 walls, not just the one. I remember the bar episode, magazine issue, that went over the newfound second wall, which explained the one passage of scripture. "60 cubits, 20 cubits by 30 cubits. 450 acres, which is, and so 45 meters tall per 100 cubits. That doesn't correspond with, it's 30 cubits high. Oh my God. AI cannot be trusted. See, it's Bain Harim Tours, the Second Temple, Jerusalem. Bain Harim Tours is the source for 450 acres. AI says it's 60 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Here he's saying it's 450 acres and was 100 cubits, about 45 meters, tall. Why can't AI tell the truth? I don't get it. Why? It is incapable of learning. It is incapable of correcting itself. It just won't do it. Why? Why are people accepting AI into their lives as their personal Lord and Savior? Why? So, how many square footage in an acre? 43,560. And so, calculator. 450 times 43560. 43560 equals 19,602,000 square footage. Pretty massive. And so you'd think that because the Book of Mormon is literal history true, that the geography of the Book of Mormon would be easy to find because of this 19 plus million square footage of a temple, which was stone. Where is it, Mormons? You who do geology and say you know exactly where it is. Well, where's the temple? You should at least see the ruins of the base, just like in Jerusalem. Where's the temple? Well, it's taken up by Moroni into the underworld. With the brass plates and the gold plates. Don't give me that crap. Where is it? You don't know, right? You say you know the geography, and you can't get the geography correct. That was Ed, who thought he knew his Book of Mormon to come up with his version of the geography that everybody else got wrong. There's no stone buildings. They never say there's stone. Right there. The Jerusalem temple is stone. Solomon's temple, stone. Find it then. Unbelievable. Or are you willing to now humble yourselves? No. Yeah, anyway. Not literal history. God. This is Knights Templar. Daddy had to rewrite this. Knights Templar. Think of Laura. And so, yeah, this is interesting. Wherefore the word of the Lord was fulfilled, which he spake unto me, saying that inasmuch as they will not hearken unto thy words, they shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord. Verse 40 of the Joseph Smith second vision. Literal history, real second vision dream. Precisely as it doesn't stand in our New Testament. Did you check it? Bye-bye, Mormons. Bye-bye. This is a direct pattern match. So 20B, did they do it? Did they do it? No, they didn't. You should have seen Acts, and you should have seen Joseph Smith History, verse 40. That is what you need to put in there in verse 20 of 2 Nephi chapter 5. Cut off from the presence for not listening to your Christ. Nephi is the Christ. He's building the Zion temple, Solomon's temple, restoring the Jerusalem temple that was destroyed. Not just the 9th Ave 586 BCE by Babylon, but also 9th Ave 70 CE by Rome. This is the learning of the Jews, Mormons. Oh, but he did cause a skin of blackness to come upon the Lamanites for being wicked. This is racist. Not real, not literal history. Stop it. So, there you go, the branch. The branch. So I forgot to tell you about how Horus, the Christ of the Egyptians, saves the day and restores the kingdom from his uncle Set with the branch. Kind of important to finish off. But this is why I finished off with what I did with the temple. Because of this. Horus, when he's old enough, being taught by David, being taught by his mother for the religion, David for the government. He's now old enough, 18 years of age, to get married, and goes to Egypt to restore the throne of his father, Moses, going into the court of Pharaoh. This is where this all comes from. And Horus challenges Set to contest to show who has authority. And so the Nile River turning to blood and the plagues and the serpent staffs all play a part in this. That's where they got it from. But on the first day of the latter days, Set plucks out his right eye. Dead branch, right eye. Start of the latter days. As a child. Yeah, prophecy fulfilled. And then, as the battle wages, Mom's trying to help him cheat. But despite winning, Amun-Ra, or Father Amun, is favoring Set rather than son Amun, Horus. And so his mother tells him to make a salad with special sauce on it. give it to Set to eat. You know, like porridge. Mommy tells her favorite son of the twins to give your brother porridge, have him eat it to sell his birthright, and then go to Daddy, who's blinded in the eyes, to steal the birthright of the son. Yeah, that's where that story came from. And thus, how could you botch the translation of Israel? Oh, right, you don't even claim translator. So you use the white supremacist version instead. Oh my God. I've studied the gathering. I know all about it. So with the help of 2 Hebrew scholars from BYU, they told me to screw it up with the white supremacist translation. Let God prevail. It's in the footnotes. It's an IE, because we disapproved Avraham Gileadi's translation. You didn't know that? I've done the videos. It's IE, let God prevail. Let's see, it's Genesis 32, 28. Yep. And thy name shall no more be called Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince, it's right there, hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. It's real simple stuff. So 28b for Israel, i.e. what? He preserves with God. I put Yah, Prince of God. They didn't want it. And then Nelson gets up with the help of 2 Hebrew scholars. Yeah, because 2. Can't be just 1 doing the whole thing. But you know this was Avraham because they rejected him. He preserves with God. It may also mean, let God prevail. No! He steals the birthright and the blessing from Esau. His genealogy is now going to have the Jewish Christ. Jesus? So yes, Rachel has him cheat to do the both the porridge and steal the blessing from the father. And so Esau's pissed, and he goes to wrestle with him as an angel, which is messenger. And so then Esau then appears, it's me. Your name is rightly called Jacob, usurper. And so he gets the new name, Israel. So yeah, and then he gets it, Yah, Prince of God, Yah, from Ishmael, the other son that was usurped, from Yitzhak, mocking laughter. The name of Yah is Sun God, Emmanuel. The rightful name, not Jesus, which is Isaiah backwards. So anyway, Horus gives the special sauce salad. You ever hear Fraser's theme song? That could be the theme song in the description below. Toss salad and scrambled eggs. Coming again. I like the reboot on the other production company. I like that. Pretty good. So, Set then gets pregnant, gives birth to the branch. And so Horus is able to show Father Amen. See? I am the descendant of Set and the descendant of Horus or Osiris, and therefore I am the rightful king. He wins. And so yes, this is what Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are telling you. The Mormon Christ for Mormons is a Mormon from the great and abominable church of Brigham Young. Real simple, not complicated, because that's how you're in bondage and need to be saved from bondage, is because you're in the great and abominable church. You're waiting for Jesus to show instead, when everything has already happened and you missed it and you don't care. You keep putting thumbs down again over and over on every single video. You don't bother to listen, you don't bother to believe, you don't bother to leave me alone. If you don't believe, leave me alone, go away. Instead, you stalk me to put thumbs down on every single video. You will not leave me alone to worship how, where, or what I may. You are evil. This is why. You are in the great and abominable church. You are evil. And you won't own it. You lie and deny to everybody else. Now we worship Jesus. Inverted pentagram is just the symbol of Jesus. Yeah, it sure is. It means you're the church of the devil, not the church of the Lamb. Okay, we're done now.